David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, is joining us now from Blenheim, very beautiful Blenheim, in the Oxfordshire countryside. It's an honour to speak to you as the new Foreign Secretary. Congratulations. Thanks for taking the time. Quite a day ahead of you. I want to talk to you about Europe, if I may, please, Foreign Secretary. Keir Starmer saying he wants the UK to be back at the heart of Europe. How, under your plans, will things actually be different for young people who want to work either here or in Europe?
Well, let's step back a bit, if I may, Kay. This is a fantastic, historic gathering of 45 leaders across Europe. We've not seen this sort of coming together in Europe for a generation. We celebrate 75 years of the Council of Europe. We're at the home of Churchill. And frankly, the welcome that we're giving to European leaders is the first time we've seen this in many, many years. And here we are discussing hugely important issues in Europe. Of course, our security and our defence of Ukraine, but also issues like migration and defending democracy. It's fantastic, obviously, for a new government. I hope that all European leaders will feel a welcome from the United Kingdom. And on that point of migration, here we have a discussion. This is not the European Union. It is a gathering of countries way beyond Europe. We've got people from Norway, Turkey, Moldova, other places that are not inside of the European Union, they are outside of Europe. But yes, we're discussing migration because that is a big issue on the
amount of time, as you know, if I may, please, Foreign Secretary. OK, fantastic, great. We have a finite amount of time. Give me one concrete proposal that will be different under Labour to impact on people in the UK and Europe.
Well, we have said that we will have discussions with Europe on the European Union. We have not got a commission. They had elections last month. They won't have a commission in place until December. So I'm afraid I can't tell you what our negotiation lines will be. And it would be silly to do that because I'd be showing our hand. But what we have said is that we want to see a new border command.
I thought we were friends. It's not a card game.
What we have said is that we want to deal with tackling gangs. That's what we've said. I'm not able to tell you what the position will be with Europe because we haven't actually got a commission to discuss or negotiate with at this time.
OK. Reading that Germany is set to reduce aid to Ukraine, what are you going to say to them today?
Well, we've just come out of NATO and there was a 40 billion pledge that Joe Biden led across 27 nations in Europe. I've seen those reports this morning. Of course, I'll be speaking to the Germans, but what I saw from Chancellor Stolz was a solid support for Ukraine. Of course, they've helped with a lot of military aid as well, and he is part of that 40 billion pledge. OK, so you will be asking them what the plan is as far as helping continue with their support for Ukraine. Zelensky also at this meeting that you're at. On the first weekend in office, I flew to Germany first, to Poland and Sweden. So I've already spoken to the Germans about their commitment to Ukraine, and it's considerable. They recognise that Putin is a threat to their security and European security as a whole. They have pronounced a Zeitenwende, a complete change in their posture towards military equipment and their own security. And so I expect them to continue to rise their defence spending, as they have already said.
OK. You did mention migrants there, Foreign Secretary. I'm also reading this morning in the newspapers that you plan to channel extra foreign aid funding towards measures to try to convince people to stay at home rather than wanting to come to the United Kingdom. Can you tell me any more about that?
Well, it is right that we should work with our European partners upstream in the countries that are most affected by smuggling gangs and also by the impulse to leave. That means jobs and opportunities and skills in those countries. And of course, it means working with other European partners. That is not something that the UK can do alone. And of course, we have an aid budget which we can utilise, particularly in the Horn of Africa, with other European partners.
Domestic matters, if I may, as you're representing the government this morning on the media round. Avanti West Coast could be the first rail company to face renationalisation. Do you have a time frame for that?
We don't have a time frame. We've said that we do believe when contracts come up, and if the circumstances are right, that we do want to bring those lines into public ownership. We knocked on many doors and heard many complaints about our railways across the country, and so we will act and bring forward the legislation and the means to do that over the coming months.
OK. Have you ever travelled Avanti West Coast, Foreign Secretary?
I've travelled Avanti West Coast. I did a lot of that in the election.
So you can see why I'm asking about it.
I can see why you're asking about it. There are a few other lines that are a problem as well. And so, of course, people will want us to work at pace.
OK. Now, I've got to ask you about these comments you made about President Trump. They were dealt with by one of your colleagues yesterday, but as I've got you in person, apparently you called him a neo-Nazi sociopath and a tyrant in a toupee. Do you stand by those comments?
Kay, you are going to struggle to find any politician who didn't have things to say about Donald Trump back in the day.
About your
but
words.
Today I'm standing here as the... Kay, let me finish. Today I'm standing here as the UK Foreign Secretary. You know that I've been to Washington, D.C. 8 times since becoming Shadow Foreign Secretary and now Foreign Secretary. I meet with Republicans and Democrats, many close to Trump, and we will work with whomever the United States choose to put the White House and become their next president.
OK, so you're going to stand by those comments then, I suppose, is what you're saying indirectly. J.D. Vance you met, didn't you, when you went to the US quite recently. What are your thoughts on him describing as the United Kingdom as an Islamist country with nukes?
Well, look, I don't recognise those comments. I mean, we got votes in the election from all corners of the country and all sorts of people. But what I would say about J.D. Vance is that we were able to find common ground. We're both from poor backgrounds, both suffered from addiction issues in our family, which we've written about, both of us Christians, and now I've met him on a few occasions, and we have been able to find common ground and get on. I congratulate him for becoming the vice presidential nominee for the Republican Party.
Before I let you go, what's the best thing about being Foreign Secretary?
It's wonderful. 24 years now that I've been in public life. This is the pinnacle, of course, of my career. Wonderful, wonderful diplomats and civil servants that I'm looking forward to working with in the UK's national interests over the coming months. It is joyous.
OK. And you stack up the air miles as well, don't you? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's good to see you.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Part of the job is travelling.
Yes,
Thanks
indeed.
a lot, Kay.
OK, take care. Thanks a lot, Foreign Secretary. Thank you.